into Subnautica to review the plants and animals that you will encounter throughout your first playthrough. I'm sorry about taking such a long time to post this video. I've just had a lot of problems with family and work that took priority over my need to record this. Also, I have been sick for a little bit, so if my voice sounds a little stuffy in this video, that is why. Also, I am experimenting with different background sound removers, so my overall voice quality might change over the next few videos. Throughout this video, you can consider that the entire game environment and the atmosphere are going to be completely ruined for anyone who hasn't played it. So, this is the only spoiler warning you will get. If you like what you see, make sure to like, share, and above all else, comment ideas for any games or videos you would like to see in the future. And without further ado, let's dive on in. So, Subnautica does not have a randomly generated map, unlike several other survival games in the survival genre. It's unique in the fact that it has a fixed map. And this fixed map comes with several different biomes and creatures and plants that you go throughout your entire playthrough. Some of the biomes you will see on the surface include things such as the blood kelp zone, the bulb zone, the crag field, the crash zone, the dunes, the grand reef, the grassy plateau, the kelp forest, the mountains, the mushroom forest, the sea treader path, the sparse reef, the underwater islands, and the safe shallows. Now, as for many of the biomes that appear underground, officially classified as cave biomes, every single one of the surface biomes that I just labeled off has their own cave systems that classify as a cave biome. However, there are also unique biomes in this category, such as the Lost River, the Jelly Shroom Caves, the Deep Grand Reef, the Inactive Lava Zone, and the Lava Lakes, or the Active Lava Zone. Throughout these biomes, you will also find story-based structures, and these will be your main method of navigation throughout the game, such as the Aurora, the Quarantine Enforcement Platform, the Floating Island, the Degassi bases, the Disease Research Facility, the Alien Thermal Plant, and the Primary Containment Facility. The last little bit about the Subnautica map is the Void. It is the complete edge of the map, and there is nothing else out there but death. And I will get to that point at the end of the video. Now, we're supposed to be talking about plants and animals, so without further ado, let's talk about the many plants of Subnautica. Now, here I have a selection of a small amount of the many different underwater plants that you will find throughout your gameplay of Subnautica. I like to categorize them in three different ways: decorative, inessential, and required. So, decorative plants, such as the blue palm or the writhing weed, are not required throughout your gameplay, and they literally are only there to decorate the area. But inessential plants, such as the brain coral or the tiger plant, do not provide many benefits, but they do provide some, which is why they are not useless. Such as the brain coral, which spawns small little bubbles, which will refill your oxygen tank, and the tiger plant, which will throw spikes at many different types of predators and prey. But next, we have the required. These types of plants are needed or are just extremely helpful for your survival on this planet, such as the creep vine, which you need to make the survival knife, or such as the acid mushroom, which you need to make batteries for most of your tools. Next up, we have the surface plants, and for this we need to go inside. So these plants can only grow in areas that have air and do not touch water. So, for example, we have the lantern tree, the Chinese potato, the bulbo tree, and many other different types of decorative plants. So, unlike the underwater plants, for the surface plants, there's only two categories: decorative and consumables. Consumables are the types of plants that can be consumed to satisfy hunger and or thirst. So, lantern fruit, marble melon, bulbo tree, or Chinese potato. But the decorative plants range from anything from a fern palm, jaffa, ming plant, to those little mushrooms and flowers up there. And they serve little purpose other than to decorate your bases with or to decorate the surface with. Next up, we're going to have the creatures of Subnautica. So first up on our list, we have the small fauna. These guys are the tiny fish that you can hold in your hands and just pick up in the surrounding area. They exist in every single biome in the game, and you can find them practically anywhere you look. They can be cooked or cured to produce food, and these will most likely be your first food sources for a while during your first playthrough, until, of course, you discover the surface plants, and then you automatically immediately have an infinite food source. One more interesting thing about a single one of these creatures is the bladderfish. It will be your main source of water for the entire beginning time of your playthrough, because one bladderfish can equal one small filtered water through the use of the fabricator. And bladderfish spawn constantly in the safe shallows, so it's very easy to get water. Something else that should be mentioned about these very tiny fish is that they are all harmless. Not a single one can bite you, injure you, or even really harm you in any way unless you decide to eat them raw. So, that's the small creatures. Next up, we have the medium fauna. So, the medium fauna are the creatures that you need to start grabbing eggs for. So, when you grab a medium fauna, when you get its egg, you drop it in one of these alien containment facilities, and it will eventually hatch into one of these. So, a few of these I admittedly had to spawn in because I could not find eggs for them, such as the magma slug and the bleeder. But nearly every single one of these I found eggs for in the surrounding area, such as the shuttlebug and the rabbit ray. So, most of these guys are actually harmless, but the select few, such as the bleeder, the crashfish, and the mesmer, will actually actively try to hunt you down and hurt you. The crashfish is one of the first harmful medium type fish that you will probably find, because they spawn in the safe shallows, in the cave systems beneath them. Their whole deal is when you get near their little home, they will leave what is called a sulfur plant, chase you down, and then blow up once they get close enough. So they are really quite difficult to deal with, but all you need to do is just swim out of the way, round some corners, to make sure you don't run into them. So next up, we have the large fauna. These guys are almost always harmful. There are very few species among them that will actually not harm you in any way, shape, or form, such as the jelly ray, or the crimson and ghost ray, both of which I was unfortunate enough to not be able to find eggs for them. So we have all of these, and they are all rough. And while they are small inside the alien containment facility, the moment I bring them out, they would be roughly the size of your average sea moth in the game. And each one of them has special abilities. The crab squid, right here, can be found in areas such as the Deep Grand Reef, and he will try to release an EMP to disable your Seamoth or Cyclops for a limited time. Very quite tricky to deal with, but he is attracted to light, so you can use floodlights to distract them. Next up, we have the ant eel. Does somewhat the same thing as the crab squid, except he can't release an EMP. He has to touch you to do it. So just don't go near them. Next up, we have the lava lizard. These guys can only be found in the magma and lava zones. And they tend to be very aggressive and will attack anything for any reason. But the thing that makes them interesting is the fact that they can spit molten rock at you. So they have a ranged attack, much like the crab squid. Next up, we have the crab snake. These guys are exceptionally annoying because they only live in one area of the map that is really not that essential, called the Jelly Shroom Caves. These guys like to burrow inside the jelly shrooms in those caves and hide until you get close. And once you get close, they snatch up and try to grab you. Next, we have the Stalker, by far the most common of all of these. They live in the creepvine forests and will try to attack you, but they will also lead you to vast metal scrap deposits for you to turn into useful titanium, so they're not all bad. Next up, we have the gasopod. If you get too close to him, he will release green gaseous pellets out of his back, and when you get close to these pellets, they will hurt you. Next up, we have the sand shark. These guys live in the red grass plains, or the grassy plateau, as it is officially called. These sand sharks like to burrow underneath the ground and will attack you from the ground. However, they are very active and will chase you regardless of where you are, whether you're near the ground or towards the top of the biome. So, now that we have every single one of the underwater normal fishes taken care of, let's take a little break and check out some of the creepy crawlies. So, for these creepy crawlies, they live almost exclusively on cave walls, on islands, or in some of the precursor bases that you find throughout the map. So, let me just go through this airlock I designed. And here we are. As you can see, very creepy and a little broken, considering they don't have eggs and will not fit inside alien containment facilities. So first off, we have the cave crawler. These guys can be found anywhere from the floating islands to the quarantine enforcement platform to the Aurora itself, and they are very quite annoying because they constantly move around, attacking you at any given chance they can. Next, we have the precursor drone. These guys are classified as repair drones, meaning they go throughout all the precursor structures, repairing the inside. And as an added bonus, if you get too close to them, they will attack you with those two tiny little welders that they have on top. Ain't that cute? Then we have the obvious blood crawler. These guys are the distant cousins of the cave crawlers, except much bigger and much testier. These blood crawlers tend to be in the blood kelp zone or the entrances to the Lost River, and they will attack you at any given chance. But most of the time when you're passing by them, you will be in your sea moth because it is terrifying to deal with these guys while swimming. So, after I get torn to pieces by these creepy crawlies, we'll go back up to the life pod and we'll review the final category of creatures in Subnautica. So the last class of organism on this planet is one that I unfortunately cannot fit into an aquarium. It is the Leviathan class. So these guys are most of the time larger than a cyclops and they only exist in a few specified locations. And every single one of these is extremely dangerous, save for one. So, the worst of the Leviathans is by far the Reaper Leviathan. These guys will be your most often encounter for Leviathans. They like to live in the dunes, the crash site, and the mountain biomes. They can grab the sea moth with their mandibles, and they are very, very dangerous. If they happen to come across you when you are not in your sea moth, you will need to prepare for instant death. An interesting thing about the Reaper is that they are actually very territorial, meaning that if you go outside their little patrol area, say outside of their biome, they will no longer chase you. They might linger on for a few more seconds, but after which they will most likely give up. Next, we have the Reefback, which is the complete opposite of the Reaper. While they probably won't be your most often encounter with a Leviathan class lifeform, they will probably be your first. They are extremely peaceful, and they only hang out in the grassy plateau, or the red grass plains, as many people call it. They are a lot like whales in the sense that they don't really care about your presence, unless, of course, you ram them with a cyclops, in which case they probably would care, but they wouldn't take it out on you. They can actually grow plants and barnacles on their backs, which you can actually harvest for resources. But while they can do this, harvesting resources from them is incredibly inefficient, so it is often not the first thing to do. Next up, we have another dangerous Leviathan, classified as the Sea Dragon Leviathan. These guys hang out in the inactive and active lava zones. They are very dangerous and very territorial, meaning if you go outside their biome, they won't chase you anymore. But the thing that makes them dangerous is that not only can they grab the sea moth, much like the Reaper Leviathan, but they can also spit fire, hence the name Dragon. They are very aggressive and will not shy away from a chance to attack you, but they love making loud noises, and their noises can be heard wherever you are. Next up, we have another somewhat peaceful Leviathan called the Sea Treader. It's mainly peaceful unless provoked. It walks around on the sea floor in the Sea Treader Path biome, and it will smack you with its front leg if you get too close. They tend to break any shale outcroppings that tend to spawn in their little path if they walk on top of it, so it's free resources. Next up, we have the Sea Emperor Leviathan. This guy is the only one of its species in the entire game, and it can only be found in the primary containment facility. Officially, it is the largest Leviathan in the entire game. It is completely peaceful, and it is the final story element to the entire game. The last Leviathan I'm going to talk about is the Ghost Leviathan. This Leviathan is infamous for being very, very aggressive. It has a very large thrust attack where it thrusts forward and attacks any submarine you're in, because God help you if you are outside of your submarine. And it likes to live in the Lost River and Blood Kelp regions of the map. However, there is also another place they live. They live in the Void. You see, to keep players from venturing out into the Void, the developers of Subnautica added in an adult Ghost Leviathan. These adults will do anything to get you in the Void. They will try and smash up any submarine you bring out. They will keep spawning until you leave. And that is also a valid point. They are very territorial. So much so that the moment you leave the Void, they immediately turn around and go away. But if you stay in the Void, God help you, because you will most likely die. So, I am currently back recording. I left for a while and then realized that I forgot a very pivotal creature in Subnautica that tends to show up around precursor bases. Now, if you haven't guessed already, I'm talking about the Warpers. These guys are essentially guard dogs for precursor structures. You will find them anywhere where there is a story-related mission. They have the ability to teleport themselves, and they throw little tiny teleport balls at you when you are in vehicles. So, say you were in a sea moth, and one of those balls hits you, it would teleport you outside of your sea moth and to them to get a quick slash in. So yeah, I do apologize. I completely forgot about these guys when I was making the aquariums and all. But the biggest interesting thing about these guys is that they are actually part machine. I won't spoil all of the story, but no living creature should be able to do that. Now that was the insanely detailed biology of Subnautica. Remember, if you liked what you saw, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and please, if you wish to see tutorials or any other content for a certain game, make sure to comment down below. Now, if you all don't mind, I'm gonna go swim with some ghost leviathans in the void. Make sure to let me know what you liked about this video, and I'll see you all next time.